Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here today. I'm so sorry that we couldn't do the webinar live. My internet was down. I guess that because everyone is at home with kids and 7 devices running on Wi-Fi all the time, that the internet capacity in my area, I live in a small town of about 4,000 people north of Boston. The internet capacity was not up to snuff. So internet was down for a couple of days, but it's back up. I'm recording this via Zoom, and I wish I could be there live with you. Today, we're going to talk about my step-by-step guide, how to mobilize social media ambassadors for your nonprofit on Giving Day and beyond. So let's get started. I had wished that I could take questions, but if you do have questions, I'll give you my email, and feel free to email me questions when you're done with this. So if you don't know anything about me, just a couple of little facts about me. I served in the US Peace Corps. I was in Senegal, West Africa. I am a mom of 2, struggling with working full-time, and my husband working full-time from home, and 2 kids, and trying to make sure they don't just watch TV all day. I'm sure a lot of you are in the same boat. I've written 2 different books for nonprofits, and I've been a former one-woman development director, marketing director, kitchen sink director, all of the above, duties as assigned. So if you are working for a very small organization, I completely understand what you're going through. I've been in that boat. Right now in my current business, I'm a speaker and a trainer, kind of like a coach and a consultant, often doing social media, digital fundraising therapy for my clients. For today, we're going to tackle 4 main topics. I'm going to give you the 5-step action plan to identify, recruit, and train social media ambassadors for your nonprofit. We're going to go through a sample job description that you can use when recruiting social media ambassadors, and then how to create a social media ambassadors, online toolkit to keep on your website. And I will be giving you all of these PDFs. We're going to take a look at them as we go ahead, and you'll also get the slides, you'll get the recording, you're listening to the recording, and some examples of social media ambassador programs. So these are the bonus materials that you will be getting. This is my email, julia@jcsocialmarketing.com. Please feel free to email me with any questions. I had hoped to make this super interactive today, but because forces beyond our control, it's just not to be. So the first thing that I wanted to do is just take a minute, and this is what we were going to do as an interactive exercise, but you can just do it right now, to reflect on the unprecedented time that we are in right now. This is nothing like nonprofits or businesses or individuals or humans have ever dealt with before, at least not in the digital age. So if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling unproductive, if you're just feeling like you want to crawl into bed, I mean, that's all completely normal. And we need to be willing and able to adapt and shift. And, the word pivot has been used over and over and over again, but to iterate and change the way that we do things. And before we even get started with social media ambassadors, I've been getting a lot of questions about, Julia, how do we communicate throughout this? Should we be communicating? How are we talking to donors? How are we talking to our audience? And the 3 C's that I want you to remember that are the most important are to be clear and concise and compassionate above all else. So people are in fight or flight mode right now, and they're getting bombarded with messages, many of which are pretty unnecessary. If you don't need to send a message, don't send it. If you do need to send a message, then send it, but make it clear exactly why am I reading this message and why now. So why this message, why now? And make it concise. See what you can cut out. Are there links you can cut out? Are there calls to action you can cut out? Are there, what can you cut out? And be compassionate. Okay, we're angry. Some of us are bitter. We're upset that we're having to cancel our programs. We're upset that we're having to cancel our events, and we're very unsure, and we're overwhelmed. your audience is in the exact same boat as you, and just be compassionate above all else. And I'll show you some examples of how to do that. The other thing I want to make sure that I get across is that we are elevating trusted resources. So if you're going to be linking to outside sites, if this is something that's in your wheelhouse and you want to be communicating with your audience about updated news and headlines and things like that, make sure that you are elevating certain outside resources that are trusted and not just kind of linking to news articles from across the web. Another very important thing to do right now is to collaborate. So Communicators for Women Religious, this is a members only organization, and they held a webinar and then they reached out to individual members for ideas. And so they created this PDF, and we can actually take a look, but these are links within the slides. How to communicate, during the pandemic, giving some ideas for their members, just some guidelines for them to go by, which I think is really important. And then I love the blog post they published. This is a link to it, a call to spiritual bonding. And it's not just saying, we're so great, we're so awesome, like this is how we're responding. It's saying, this is our philosophy, this is what we stand for. This is almost like our manifesto, which I really liked, because obviously we are all doing a lot of things similarly. We're encouraging hand washing, we're encouraging social distancing. Some of us are working from home. So none of that's going to be new to people. But if you have a unique take on the way you're handling it, then absolutely express that to your audience if it's something that is going to add value to them. And then there are so many Facebook groups popping up in different verticals. So there's a museum social media managers group. There's a healthcare worker social media management group. There is an autism organization social media managers group. And I can't manage and be in all of these groups, but find a group, find a community of people that are talking about the same kinds of things to bounce ideas off of. I think that's so important. And I'm giving you this link because I'm constantly compiling in this Google Drive nonprofit communications. So I have organizations sending out postponement emails, fundraising appeals during this time, virtual events, social media updates. I kind of have everything in here. So that I'm the only one allowed to add to this. I didn't want it to kind of fill up with spam, but if you have other examples, I would be happy to add them. And then if you're interested in free webinars, free trainings, this is a Google Doc that a lot of nonprofits and consultants have been updating with free webinars and trainings as they become available. So lots of resources out there for you. Okay, so that's just my little intro talking about COVID-19. And now we're going to go into the meat of the presentation, how to mobilize social media ambassadors for your nonprofit, whether it's on your giving day or even beyond your giving day. The reason we use social media ambassadors is because trust is completely decimated in the United States. We don't trust institutions. We don't trust organizations. We don't trust government. We trust our peers. So we trust recommendations from someone we know. We trust consumer opinions. We trust editorial content. Sometimes that's someone's opinion. So the things that we trust, recommendations is absolutely at the top of that. And the key is to leverage that trust in an authentic way. We're not manipulating people, but getting people to share their experiences and their personal connection to you. So I talk about it as preaching to the choir, because we get so focused on how do we acquire new donors. Let's send out a bunch of ads. Let's buy a mailing list. Never buy an email list, by the way. Let's spam a bunch of people. Let's put an ad in the newspaper to complete strangers. So things that we can't even track, but let's not yell at strangers. Let's talk to the people that know and love us and get them to spread the gospel for us. And that's so much more effective. So the 5-step action plan we're going to go through today, 1 is identify, 2 is recruit, 3 is train, 4 is acknowledge and thank, and 5 is motivate. And then we'll talk a little bit about how to keep your momentum after your giving day and how to keep your momentum after your initiative, your campaign, that you're going to be utilizing your social media ambassadors. So where do you find these social media ambassadors? Well, I'm going to give you a few places that you can look. Look at your database. So your donors have already raised their hand and said, I'm interested in you. I know you, I trust you, and I like you enough to give you money. So I'm willing to bet that there are some donors in there that would be willing to be a social media ambassador and talk about their experience. Think about your community fundraisers. Those are the people that always hold events for you. Those are the people that maybe held a Facebook fundraiser for you or have gone and got auction items for you. And then who participated in your giving day last year and was super active and super excited about your giving day. You might already have some people in mind that you can approach. So we're just going to write down a very long list. You can put it in an Excel spreadsheet. You can put it in a Google Doc. We're just going to brainstorm names of people right now. And then when we go to recruiting, then we'll kind of cull the list. Look at your email subscribers. If you have something like ConvertKit, which is what I use to send out and monitor my emails, or Constant Contact or MailChimp, you can actually go back and look at how active people are, especially if you have a database like Salesforce or Infusionsoft. You can actually see how hot, like they call them hot leads. I mean, they're not really leads for us, but how engaged your email subscribers are. So who are your most engaged email subscribers? Those are other people that you probably want to pull from. You want to look at LinkedIn, whether it's your personal connections, if you are on LinkedIn and you're active, people following your company page, LinkedIn groups. You can look within topics and subject area, and you can actually search LinkedIn profiles for volunteering history and causes. If you are on Twitter, look at your most active followers on Twitter. Who retweets your content, who favorites and likes your tweets. If you have hashtags that are specific to your organization or your campaigns, who uses your hashtags, all of this is easily searchable. And then if you are not sure about your engaged community on Twitter, you can look up people tweeting about similar topics. Now, it's kind of like a shot in the dark, but sometimes it works. So I have an organization that I work with. They're a foster care agency where I live, and they found out that Ashton Kutcher is very involved in foster care organizations and getting people to find forever homes and things like that. So they randomly sent him a few messages and tagged him, and he actually retweeted one of their tweets. So make sure that it makes sense. I mean, you don't want to just go after Ellen or Oprah because they're famous. Make sure that it makes sense when you're going after people like that. But you don't need an Ashton Kutcher to make a difference. You just need some people that are already involved and like you on Twitter and sharing your stuff and engaged with you anyway. And you can make a Twitter list really easily. That appears that doesn't work. So let me see if I can show you. I'm gonna go to my Twitter account. It's so easy to do. So you go to Twitter, you go to lists, and these are my owned lists. These are my lists I'm subscribed to. I love subscribing to lists because you don't have to follow every single person on that list. And then you can just look at the list, and then I'm a member. People have put me in these groups. But this is how you create a list. Make sure, like, if it's private, like if you're calling them major donors, but, you know, social media ambassadors, and then you can add people, write a description, add people to the list. Very, very easy to do. And then you can just monitor that list. So it kind of cuts through the Twitter clutter. If you're not active on Twitter and you don't have the capacity or the bandwidth, that's completely fine. I don't recommend just jumping into a social media channel because I'm covering it in this webinar. Do what makes sense for your organization and your capacity. On Facebook, it's a little bit harder because you can see who your fans are, but you probably can't learn much about them because of privacy settings, but you are going to be able to see who's liking, commenting, sharing their content. And they get badges too. So your top fans get badges. I have badges on several different nonprofit pages because I've been super active liking and commenting and sharing their stuff. So that's something on the back end of Facebook that you can look at. Then there are tools that you can use, paid tools. Agorapulse, they do offer a discount for nonprofits. You have to apply. So one of my clients, they wanted to run a social media campaign. So they used Agorapulse to identify 100 superfans, and they were able to contact them and invite them to be social media ambassadors. So I have not seen a free tool that you can use to do this, but Agorapulse is a fantastic tool if you're really serious about leveraging your Facebook network. Pinterest as well. So Pinterest is very interesting because you can actually, even if you don't have a Pinterest account for your organization, you could see if people are pinning stuff from your website, or you can just go in and look via topic, look via subject area, and see who is really influential and engaged on Pinterest. On Instagram, the same kind of rules apply as on Facebook. You might not be able to see their personal profiles, but if they're using your hashtags, if they are commenting and liking your posts, you will be able to see their handle and their name. So it might just be something where you have to go through manually and see who are your most engaged followers on Instagram and then add them to your list. So an example is if you have a specific campaign like the Share Your Ears campaign, which is a campaign that Disney did with Make-A-Wish Foundation. Anytime someone shares their ears on Instagram with this hashtag, Disney donates $1 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So you can easily look things up like that, or like probably a better example is my client Road Scholar uses the Age Adventurously hashtag, and they can easily see people like someone with 690 likes. I mean, these are people that you want to contact if they're using your hashtags for sure. So make sure you're taking a look at Instagram as well. But don't ignore other social networks. If you're very active on Snapchat, or you're active on YouTube, if you're active on TikTok, whatever it is, don't ignore the other networks, but don't bite off more than you can chew in the beginning. Okay. Another way to look for potential recruits is looking internally. Your staff, your board, your volunteers. Somebody doesn't have to have 1,000 Twitter followers to be an active social media ambassador. They could just be very interested, very engaged, and influential within their little community. And look at your donors and your corporate sponsors. You know, look at the people that are supporting your work. Maybe there's a program officer that's very active on Twitter, or maybe there is one of your small businesses that always supports your gala and they're very active on Facebook. So think through strategically who in your community, what groups, who would be a fantastic person to get on your social media ambassador team. And then don't forget alumni and clients, okay? We can't forget alumni and clients. We can't assume that they're not going to want to share the great work that we're doing. And all we can do is invite them. And if they don't want to, that's fine. But you might already have an idea in mind of some alumni, some families you've worked with, some clients that you've worked with that would be really great social media ambassadors for you. All right, so you have this long list of people. Maybe you're whittling it down. Maybe your goal is to get 20 social media ambassadors. Now, I can't give you a number because I'm not sure what you're trying to do. So if you're trying to raise $10,000 online, maybe you do just need 20 to 30 social media ambassadors. If you're launching a gigantic campaign and you want 1 million people to see it, you're going to need quite a few more social media ambassadors. So it's up to you. It's what you can manage, and it's what you can do with your capacity and your limited time and your resources. So when you're recruiting these people, you have their names, you have their contact information, you're going to reach out to them. Make sure you're providing details on exactly what you want them to do, and let them know, you know, they can opt out at any time. And not just like we want to get a bunch of engagement and buzz, because that is great and that's all well and good. But even explaining and going deeper, like we want to do an awareness campaign around domestic violence so more people will call the hotline. Or we want to increase our donor base and spread the word to get new donors involved. Just make sure that it's very clear on what the work will include, the initial work, because it might change from campaign to campaign. But if it's a giving day, then you definitely want to make sure that you are letting people know that they are going to need to clear their calendar that day and be active. So here's a sample social media ambassador job description. Make sure you thank them. You know, this is not the place to include 10,000 things about, you know, legal restrictions and HIPAA and requirements and things like that. Because once they accept, then when you do the training, you can include all of that stuff. This is the part where you want to get them really excited, really active. Tell them a little bit about what you're trying to do, what the purpose is, and be enthusiastic, be passionate. Just really try to get people on board with what you're doing and make it super easy and super simple and very fun to get involved. And then make sure that you're crafting these solicitations personally. So what frustrates me sometimes is when I get an email about a campaign and it looks like it's just cut and pasted and there's no personal inflection. There's no, I think you would be a great match for this because thank you so much for being a top fan on Facebook. Any way that you can personalize the solicitation, personalize the email ask when you're recruiting people, or the phone call or the direct message, that's going to work a lot better and go a long way, because people want to feel seen. We want to feel seen and we want to feel like you know who we are and that this is not just a transaction. This is building a relationship with us where it's a win-win for all parties involved. Step 3 is train. And by train, I mean, you can get as complicated and complex and detailed as you want. You could do a comprehensive training, or you could do the bare bones, which I think would be, you know, getting everyone together virtually. Obviously, we have to do everything virtually now, but you can do a Google Hangout, you can do a Zoom call. Make sure that everybody has the ability to dial in. Oh, what did I see? That was so amazing. Give me a second here. I have something that I was just sent this morning from AFP, and I'm participating in the AFP Icon virtual conference, and they sent out some really cool instructions on how to participate. So actually, I'm going to try to find that, because if you can send out instructions, if people have not participated in Zoom, have not participated in Google Hangout. Oh no, it wasn't. It was the Real Skills Conference, Seth Godin. Okay. So tech guide for the Real Skills virtual conference. You wouldn't be having a virtual conference, but tech guide for the social media ambassador meeting, you know, how to download Zoom, how to join the call, which features will we be using, how we'll be using them, video call etiquette, you know. So if you're having a lot of trainings, if you're having a lot of virtual trainings, having this tech guide for how to do these things, it can be really, really helpful and effective. And then you're going to give a quick intro to the job and to the tasks of the social media managers. And maybe you're going to walk them through your toolkit. So this is an example of some of the things that you might want in your giving day social media toolkit that the ambassadors can pull from. So updated data, some video files, maybe testimonials, make sure people know what hashtags you want them to use, photos with your logo, with your watermark, your approved logos, blog post ideas, graphics. You can, you know, take from this what you will and take 3 things from it or create the whole thing. I think the more that you give people, the more options that you give people, like if you write the tweets for them, if you write the posts for them. Also a social media tip sheet, which is kind of like this, the Zoom tip sheet. If you give a tip sheet for how best to leverage social media channels, what works on each individual channel, that can work really well too. So get excited, create all this great stuff, put it on your website, put it in the Facebook group, wherever you're communicating with your social media ambassadors, and make sure you have a kickoff. Don't just do everything via email. I think it's really important to have a virtual kickoff on Zoom or Google Hangout and get people really excited and get them seeing your face so they know where to turn for questions and get them to see each other. I think that's awesome. In your first meeting, you want to share a story, you want to walk through any information that they need, and you just want to be excited. Excited, 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 and enthusiastic. Don't have your first meeting also be the morning of the giving day. Have it be a couple weeks out, and then have another call 1 week out, and then have another call that morning. So make sure that you're not doing everything the morning of the giving day. You're already going to be stressed out enough, and there's going to be already enough on your plate. Create a private Facebook group. This is something I've seen a lot for the social media ambassadors, because then they can talk to each other. So it's added value for them because they can network, they can get ideas, they can see what other people are doing that's really working. And then you can easily share information. I would also use email as well for people not on Facebook, but this one is great for more interaction because obviously email is not as interactive. And then making things super easy to share. So adding social share buttons, taking off all of those restrictions for people to comment or share things from your social media sites. Make sure that you're disabling those strict settings to make things super, super, super easy to share where people want to. I absolutely love this website, UChicago Social Media Ambassador Program. They're using a tool called Social Toaster, and it's so easy to join. You can just connect. You don't need a separate login. You can get points. So there's gamification. There's a gamification element of this, and there's leaderboards, and it's just super easy and really cool to do. And it's also just like a fun website. Frequently asked questions, all that kind of thing. So you might want to check out Social Toaster if you want this kind of like plug and play social media website or so like page on your social media website. Okay, let's go forward again. Another pro tip is to write the updates for them. So when you're sending out emails, tell people exactly what you want them to say, create graphics for them to just kind of steal and post, video files, and then make sure that you're creating things based on the channels where you want people to kind of spread the word. Each channel is its own country and has its own etiquette and language and rules of the road. When you're writing the updates, be thoughtful and be strategic. Don't just say, hey, everyone, go to our website and find one thing to retweet today. Give people the link to the tweet. Tell them exactly what you want them to do. People right now, and they have been before and they will be forever, are very busy. Clear, concise, clear, concise. Tag the appropriate accounts, use the appropriate hashtags, give them the URLs, write the updates for them, and be thoughtful and strategic. On your giving day, I would go live with the ambassadors. So go live in that Facebook group just from your phone, talk to them about how the day is going to work, give them their marching orders, maybe give them a calendar of events. If you're doing things that you want them to amplify, make sure they know the time and they know the link and they know exactly what to do. And then make sure you're thanking them, motivating them throughout the day, giving them shout outs, highlighting the stuff that they're posting on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. So you want to build some time in on your giving day to highlight and give people shout outs for helping you spread the word and helping you raise money. There are some great tools available to you. So Social Toaster is a great one, a little bit more on the expensive side. Gaggle Amp as well is a great one. People can sign up and then you write the tweets and the updates, and then they can just click post and they don't even need to really do anything. Pack is the same way. Dropbox, Google Drive. This email on the right-hand side, you'll see Thunderclap used to be one of the best tools where people could just sign up and everybody would tweet at the same exact time, but Thunderclap is no more. So it's a tool that is, defunct. But I think this is a great email for the social media ambassadors, because I signed up to be an ambassador to help promote their podcast. I love Good Night Stories for Rebel Girls. So you can see it's really easy, really clear how to do it and what to do. I think that going live throughout the day, especially on a giving day, and when you're doing thank yous, working in your social media ambassadors into the thank yous. So No Kid Hungry went live for 24 hours on Giving Tuesday. They had a wall of thanks, and they thanked not only their donors, but their staff, their volunteers, their ambassadors, their advocates. And they did this live on Periscope, so it was broadcast on Twitter. An example of a social media ambassador program that I participate in is the Massachusetts Conference for Women Social Media Street Team. So the organizer does everything that I recommend, weekly emails with the tweets, everything written, all the graphics, all the hashtags, all the speakers tagged, and the sample posts. And what I do is I often just take 10, 15 minutes on Monday morning and schedule out a bunch of different posts for the week. So they're not all going out at once, but I'm still pretty active almost every day tweeting about the Conference for Women. Giving Tuesday does it as well. They have a whole great toolkit of sample tweets that you can use. Susan G. KOMEN is another one. They have a social media ambassador program. You can sign up to be an ambassador for a specific event or for the entire organization. And they use COSVID to collect stories from their volunteers. They have a whole page, and you can check out these links later when you get the slides. I love what Second Story has done. Second Story is one of my just favorite organizations. They are a tiny organization with one person doing all their development and marketing. They have a podcast, which is really just stories that they're telling with names changed and identifying details changed. But they have a COVID-19 task force, and what they've done is they ask people to sign up to leverage their own networks. They'll leverage their resources and their networks to help us make connections and provide food and other resources to people who need help the most. So if you're open to being part of this group, this is how you participate. And they already have 150 people signed up to be on their task force, their emergency task force. So that's something I think that we could all do right now. And they just sent an email to their list and asked. This was the email that they sent. This has all of the elements of clear, concise, and compassionate. Starts with like a personal, just, I hope everyone is well. I really want to communicate what we're doing, but starting out with a compassionate way, being clear, being concise. So that's the email that they sent, and it's basically just replicated on the website. So they're not they're duplicating information, but they're repurposing information. Thanking people that are participating. They're doing that now on their social media sites. So acknowledge is the fourth step. So this is where you're really thanking people and making them feel special. So after your giving day, organize a thank you campaign, create graphics and videos, hold a virtual thank you party, ask for their feedback. Ask them what you could improve, what you could do differently, what they would like to see next time. Ask for their feedback. And then if you can, try to give them something exclusive. So we might not have, sorry, my kids are busting in on the webinar, of course. So try to give them something exclusive. Maybe you can partner with local business to offer discounts, and you might not have a ticket to an event or a ticket to a conference to give out, but a pin or a bumper sticker, anything that you have that you can give, even if it's just an exclusive virtual happy hour at this point. And then keeping momentum. In order to keep momentum, it's really important that you tell people the impact. So not just saying Thank you so much. And wow, we got 55,000 Twitter impressions. It's really letting them know what has happened. So they, your supporters, they do want to know that tweeting, posting, sharing has actually helped move the needle for your organization. So continuing to show your impact and thank them, but also tell them this work isn't over. We had like our best giving day ever, but we're looking to the future. We're looking to Giving Tuesday. We're looking to a Mother's Day campaign. We're looking to a year end. And we would love to have you on board because this is helping elevate all of our voices and helping really increase visibility of our programs and help build community around our programs. So now is the point in time when I would ask you for your questions. I always like to leave 15 minutes, 20 minutes at the end for your questions. I also have for you in the bonus materials, I was just thinking I will add my essential resource guide for building a social media ambassador program so that you do have a PDF printout. It's like an instruction manual, everything that we went over today, but in the nice PDF printable guide. So I will send that to the foundation so they can send it out to all of you. I would love to encourage you to send me an email if you have any questions. Send me links to your social media ambassador programs. Send me examples, send me anything that you want to send me that you think would be helpful. And I will include it in other webinars, or I'll give you feedback on it. This is such a critical time for us to allow our donors and our supporters to really give back in ways that are meaningful to them. And I would not hesitate to ask them to be a part of something like an emergency COVID-19 task force or your social media ambassador program for your giving day, because this is a critical time period right now. This is an absolutely vital time where people are they're looking for ways to help. They're looking for ways to support you. They already know and love you. They know a little bit about you, and you wouldn't be asking a complete stranger to be your social media ambassador. You're going to be asking people that know you and love you and want a way that they can help you from the safety of their home. They're on their phones. They're on Zoom calls all day. They're on email all day already. And they want a way to help you. Not everyone, but the ones that do, just don't hesitate to ask. Don't be afraid to ask. And especially as it gets closer to your giving day, as more and more people are signing up and more people are participating, then others will start to get on board and it'll have that snowball effect. So start small, start off, don't bite off more than you can chew, don't do more than you're ready for, but start off small, start off impactful. And I know that you've got this. Okay, we're on this together. We're going to hang in there. We're going to get through this. You're going to have an amazing giving day. I'm doing quite a few webinars for this group in the coming months, in the coming weeks. And if there's anything else you'd like me to cover, I would love to get your feedback, but please send me your questions, julia@jcsocialmarketing.com. And I love the interaction of a live webinar. So the next webinar will be live, barring any internet outages, but I really look forward to seeing all of you virtually, and just keep on doing that amazing work that you're doing. Okay, I will see you on the next webinar.